So right off the bat, you might be asking, what am I looking at right now? What is this monstrosity, rather a heavily modified Camp Snap Pro? Yes, this is the brand new Camp Snap Pro that just came out. I got mine maybe a little bit over a week ago. And you might be asking, why would you pay for the Camp Snap Pro and then completely ruin it? Well, in my opinion, it's not ruined. I'm going to tell you why. Again, this is heavily modified. I can go through all the different things that I've done, but the Camp Snap Pro, I love it. It's awesome. I love the original Camp Snap, but I lost it. And so when I saw the ads for this coming about, doubling the megapixels, a little bit of more bells and whistles with some selector switches and stuff, that I was like, I was like, it's $100. It's really a win-win. I mean, it's a fun little camera. I love the original Camp Snap. You got your viewfinder there. I'm going to try to make this really quick, but when you first get it out of the box, as a photographer myself that uses a lot of Sony cameras, it does still have that really cheapo plastically, like, I'm gonna drop this and it's gonna break. I know it's not gonna break. It's actually very, very durable. The other Camp Snap, I mean, it's basically made for people to bring to camps, and other than getting water damage, I mean, nothing can be dropped or whatever. And this is the same. It's pretty rugged, but the leather-like, or rather the plastic to make look like leather, was extremely it was slippery. And the silver, I mean, it kind of looks like they're kind of going for maybe that Fujifilm-esque type look. And it was neat and it was cool, and I was using it for about a week, and I like the images coming out of it. But I want to tell you a couple tips. So it's going to be like a modification / tip video, and then just promote why I like my camera 100 times more right in this condition. And you might be like, what in the heck is this? So a couple things right off the bat. Very slippery texture before I put this grip tape on there. And so I always felt like it was going to slip out, even when I had my wrist strap on. Again, it's only $100. If it falls, who cares? And then also, I really love the selector switch, to be able to switch between standard, vintage, and black and white. And I love that you can't see the display. That's the whole purpose behind why this camera exists. It's to get rid of the display, just have fun, point and shooting, and just having a good time. And then after a little while, I kind of just got a little bored of it, to be honest. I just felt like when I go out, it just looks kind of silly. Another thing about this right here, this is actually like a little diffuser. The flash, this is one tip before you get your Camp Snap, the flash is crazy bright. And if you are within 4 feet to, I would rather actually even say 6 feet from someone, it will completely blow out the skin tones. Like, I mean, just washed out completely. So this is just way too bright. So I took it upon myself. I just got this just little opaque plastic piece. I glued it on, and it's way better. I don't want you to do a Jimmy rig job like me. There's a lot of other ways that you can attach more of a better looking thing, but I'm not really going for that type of look. I'm actually trying to go for almost like a Doomsday or like a war tattered look camera. Like, this is like I'm jumping out of airplanes or helicopters in the jungle, and I have this camera strapped to me, and it's rugged, and it's just going to stay by my side so I can document. That's kind of the idea behind why I did this. And so I put some army green paint on both the bottom plate and the top plate. Obviously, it's flaked off in just the matter of 4 days or so of heavy use. This is just your standard optical viewfinder. I really like the shutter button. The sound is a little bit weird. It makes like this shutting a trunk kind of a sound, which is a really strange sound if you're used to camera shutters. So when I covered it with the grip tape, which is the speakers right here, it actually makes it kind of a little bit better sound. And then I cut out a window. This is the 4 LED light to show you know, the battery power, and then you got your indicator light here. And then you can still access the micro SD card. And then there's a mode button. You can change like the time, the date stamp and stuff like that. There's not a date stamp, but the date on the back for, I guess, a little bit more information, on the actual data. And then you got your USB-C quick charge, which is awesome. And it lasts a super long time when you're not using the flash. When you turn the flash on, you're obviously using more power per shutter. So I haven't properly tested full charge and then how many flash shutters it is, but it's going to be less than obviously no flash. So I do really like the standard mode, and then also, see, it's going to kick on. And it's already charged 3. I literally charged this for like 10 minutes and it already went from 0 all the way back to 3. And then I also like the black and white. The other modes, they're okay. They're like kind of like vivid. But I figured that you can go standard and then just up the saturation. But there's a time and a place for everything to kind of mess around and see what you like. And then also the biggest upgrade that I made, as far as a lot of this is just accessories and aesthetics. And then this is very practical, this diffuser. But this is a K&F Concept black mist, 1/4 black mist filter, which is awesome. It kind of gives that vintagey kind of look to it. It also cuts out a little bit of the washed out look. I find in bright settings outside, this camera, the sensor is just so sensitive that it's just like the sky is completely blown out depending on where you're pointing. So you have to be paying attention to how basically like taking an account of the scene and how much is really bright and how much is really dark. And if you're majority dark, it's going to blow out the little bit of the, you know, the white that's in the scene. So you kind of almost 50-50 it, or 60-40 it when it comes to 60% of a dark scene and then 40% light. But it's not a perfect system. This actually cuts down the brightness a little bit, and then you also still have room on top of this to add neutral density filter if you want. And I would recommend a neutral density filter. Another cool thing about the CamSnap Pro is it has that filtering 37mm filter, so you can do K&F Concept or any filter that you like as long as it's 37mm, and you can put that on there. And then I really like the way that the black mist looks, especially when you're shooting into ambient light sources and things like that, or flare of the sun. And then you can also then add that ND filter in bright daylight, noon, and those types of times. I would recommend at least a 1/4 or 1/8 to 1/4 neutral density filter. Any darker than that, and you're going to get really dark scenes. So you got to kind of watch it and test it. And so the only frustration that I found with testing all of these different things, especially like the diffuser and the filter and different things like that, I don't recommend using a circular polarizer or any of those turn directional ones, because you don't have a screen. So you have to hit the shutter button, plug the phone into here, and then you can view the image. Again, the whole idea is to not be stuck behind the screen, which is why this is kind of a fun camera. It is a very fun camera. But when you're trying to set settings and look at what the difference is here and the brightness of the flash, and you're trying to test maybe some different filters, you got to do all those tests and then, you know, import them into your phone, and then you can properly see what did that actually do to my scene. And so that's the only thing that can be a little bit, but once you get it set up the way you like, and you're willing to take a little bit of extra time and invest a little bit more time into your $99 CamSnap Pro, or whatever price it was for the holidays, at the recording of this video, we're only a week out to Christmas. It's very fun. I painted it red. This is just, you know, actually Posca pens, if you can believe that. I should have done some sanding, light sanding before, but just Posca with a nice kind of army green. And then I like the red shutter. That hasn't worn at all. And then this is all friction tape, and it just makes it extremely grippy. And then I also have this 1/4-20 thing. I didn't like this on here because it got rid in my grip. I didn't like it over here because it wasn't long enough. So this is a great little extra strap. Not really, this is kind of overkill. I mean, this camera, it wouldn't slip out of my hand, but it is nice because it's so darn lightweight. I do like dangling it like this or holding it like this when I'm walking. So I'm not just like, I mean, you could be like this too, but It is incredibly light. Now it does add weight when you put a filter on, very minimal. This adds a little bit of minimal weight in the strap. But I like a little bit of a heftier weight than that ultra light feeling where you just feel like it's a kid's toy. And at the end of the day, this is like a toy camera. So, you know, keep that in mind. It's not meant to be anything other than what it is, but it is very fun. And I've had a lot of fun. And it's neat to be kind of stuck behind, you know, optical viewfinder and then framing up your shots and maybe doing a walkabout and doing a handful of shots. And then you go back home and see what you got. And then that's when the learning process happens. The trial and error happens back on your computer or on your phone when you're looking at the images. And then you kind of are organically growing as a photographer the way it used to be, where you had to fill up a roll of film, wait for it to be developed to see what you captured and if you really messed up or not. And then you'd have to learn from looking at your images. And that's another thing that I kind of like about this too, is when you don't have the screen, it has the ability to hold a tremendous amount of photos, over 2,000, I believe, with the provided SD card. And then you can get all the way up to, I think, a 16 gigabyte or 32 gigabyte memory card if you'd like. 16 megapixel images. They're very small though, maybe 5 MB. But at the end of the day, like, even, you know, that's kind of nice. I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried like I would be like with a Fuji, you know, X100 or something like that. And so anyway, that's basically it. Just kind of wanted to go through why I did this. And if you guys are in the market, it's basically a fun factor. It actually makes me want to take this out more, what I did to it, even though maybe some people would think I completely destroyed my brand new Camp Snap that I just got recently. So if you guys are waiting for yours to come into the mail and you're making it a Christmas gift or things like that, that's why I'm making this video. When you buy a cheap camera like this, that is fun to use, then it doesn't hurt too bad to kind of, you know, do some modifications, make it your own, I saw it as a canvas. Like, this is like, I want to make it look like it's something that's been through a war zone in a sense. And it will be, because I'm going to use this camera for a very, very long time. And my last tip is, my recommendation for a camera like this is it's just great for family photos. So if you get yours for Christmas, it's going to be super fun to just capture the moments around Christmas, around the Christmas tree, New Year's, and all that kind of stuff. But my biggest tip is, this flash is so bright, you have to stand at least 10, 12 feet away for it to not wash out the skin tones. But then it's a wide angle lens. I believe it's a 24 or 28 millimeter of equivalent. Then you're so far away and it really doesn't make sense to crop in. So I would diffuse it somehow, whether you put some opaque tape over it. You could take the tape off of your Christmas gift and then just put it right over it. I opted for this because it's a slight dome. It's like a curved piece of plastic, so it's kind of like a traditional diffuser. It works really, really well. This is the switch for the flash on and off, and it's now rugged. I'm not afraid to bang it up. And I'm not even afraid to let my kids run around and take photos with it. So a lot of fun. And then now that it has the addition of the filter thread, like I mentioned, very cool and very promising to figure out different ways to adapt different things. And then what I really hope that happens, if maybe Camp Snap does it or maybe another manufacturer, but maybe adding some cool filter effects in the sense of like maybe wide angle, or maybe getting maybe more of a magnification out of it. I don't know if that's possible, but that'd be cool to be able to filter that on. All right. So I believe I covered the basis. If you have any more questions, comment, obviously. And if you think that I ruined my Camp Snap, give this video a thumbs down. And if you feel like that actually is pretty cool, I like the idea of making it your own and almost making it seem like it's a post-apocalyptic type camera to capture the craziness to come. Just kidding. Then thumbs up it. I'd appreciate that. And there's going to be more content to come regarding the actual pictures and the images that I'm getting out of this. It's a little bit more of a learning curve because you obviously can't monitor your images until afterwards. So if you want to see some images coming out of this camera with the updates that I've made, I'll show you the improvement of the flash. I have some comparisons of some washed out images and then ones that aren't as washed out. And then you can kind of see the improvement of having that. So without going on and on and on, I'm going to stop here. You guys have a great Christmas season. For those of you getting a Camp Snap, you're going to have a lot of fun, but just remember, set your expectations properly. This is just meant to be a fun little, toy camera for the family. Definitely ways to make it kind of, in some ways, a very compelling artistic tool if you use it right and you're patient with it. And that's what I love about what I did here. So stay tuned, and I'll be posting some images in a future video. Thank you guys. Appreciate your time.